There is no torment greater than knowing you could be more and refusing to become it. No pain deeper than seeing the man in the mirror and knowing he is not worthy of his own respect. You can lie to others about your effort, your intentions, your excuses, but you cannot lie to yourself. When the night grows silent and the world stops applauding, that voice inside knows whether you lived with purpose or drifted in comfort. If you no longer respect yourself, do not hide from it. Look straight into that truth. That shame is not your enemy. It is your last remaining evidence that your soul has not yet surrendered. It is life's signal that the time has come to destroy the weak version of yourself and rebuild a stronger one through discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in motion. It is the decision to become the kind of person your own conscience can admire. Every man who has achieved greatness began with disgust. Disgust for weakness, for laziness, for indecision, for the small habits that stole his power one compromise at a time. I say to you, if you no longer trust your own promises, if you wake up each morning remembering what you said you would do yesterday but didn't, you are living in the hell of broken intention, but hell has an exit, and its gate is called decision. One decision, made once and enforced daily, can build a mind that commands its own obedience. You must understand, discipline is not born of motivation. It is born of order. The universe itself is ruled by law. Every star, every tide, every atom obeys pattern. And you, as part of that order, must bring your thoughts and actions into harmony with law. The undisciplined man is at war with himself. His hands betray his vision. His words contradict his faith. His desires consume his will. But the disciplined man is one. His thought, feeling, and action move as a single force. Think of Edison, who faced 10,000 failures and never once surrendered. Think of Ford, mocked for his ideas, yet unshaken in decision. Think of Carnegie, who began with nothing but an idea and a relentless code of conduct that he enforced upon himself. Each of these men ruled the same mind you possess. The difference was discipline, the unbreakable habit of doing what must be done whether they felt like it or not. If you will master discipline, you will reclaim your own respect, because self-respect is not earned through comfort. It is forged through obedience to a higher command. Each morning you rise and conquer one act of weakness. You prove to yourself that you can be trusted again. Each evening you keep a promise no one else would notice. You polish the armor of your own integrity. You have tried encouragement. You have tried inspiration. You have told yourself stories of potential and waited for emotion to lift you. It never lasts, because emotion is wind, but discipline is structure. You must now build yourself as a craftsman builds a temple, deliberately, brick by brick, until your mind stands tall enough to carry your dream. Do not look for the feeling. Create the standard. Do not wait for clarity. Decide and move. Do not seek approval. Approve yourself through action. The man you respect, the man you wish you were, already exists in blueprint form within you. Every time you act with discipline, you draw him closer into reality. Every time you delay, you push him back into shadow. There are two men within you, one who obeys impulse and one who obeys purpose. Whichever you serve today becomes your master tomorrow. Understand this truth. You cannot hate yourself into greatness, but you can discipline yourself into love. The weak man believes he must first feel worthy before he acts. The wise man knows that action creates worthiness. Every small victory of self-control deposits new confidence into the soul until respect returns naturally, not as a gift, but as a consequence. Perhaps you are haunted by broken habits, wasted months, abandoned goals. Let the past burn. You cannot rebuild from the ashes if you are still mourning the old house. Begin again, not tomorrow but now. Write your definite chief aim. Fix your attention upon one great purpose and align your habits to serve it. Each day, obey that purpose as a soldier obeys his general. There will be resistance. The old self will beg for comfort. The mind will whisper compromise. But remember this: every weakness you refuse to kill will one day return to kill your dream. Each day you delay, the weaker self grows stronger. Each act of discipline starves it. If you will listen with both heart and mind, I will teach you how to become the architect of your own self-respect. You will learn how to command your emotions, direct your time, and transmute your weaknesses into strength. You will rebuild faith in yourself, not through promises, but through proof. This is the law. You can only respect the man who keeps his word to himself. Every morning that you rise and act in harmony with your definite purpose, you become that man. Every evening that you keep the vow of discipline, your soul salutes you. Do not waste another year waiting for confidence. Confidence is the echo of discipline. Act, and it will appear. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the version of yourself that you would admire, the man who moves without hesitation, who keeps his word, whose eyes reflect calm power. He is not imaginary. He is a consequence, the inevitable result of ordered thought and disciplined action. And I tell you this with certainty: when you live by law, the world begins to obey you. Opportunities appear where there were none. Allies recognize your conviction. Even the obstacles that once broke you will bow in service to your growth. Discipline is the gate to self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation of faith, and faith is the bridge to riches, peace, and power. This is not theory, it is law. So stand up, begin again. Burn the list of excuses and write a new commandment. I will live today as the man I respect. Do not wait for inspiration. You will become it. The old self has spoken long enough. Its reign ends now. Through discipline, you will rebuild trust. Through trust, you will rebuild faith. Through faith, you will rebuild destiny. Recreate yourself until the man in the mirror salutes you. That salute is wealth. That salute is freedom. That salute is peace. There comes a moment in every thinking man's life when his own reflection condemns him. He may wear the same garments, speak the same words, walk the same streets, but the eyes in the mirror no longer obey him. They accuse him. They whisper that he has betrayed his own design, that he has permitted comfort to seduce purpose, that he has ceased to be captain of his own soul. In that instant of silent shame lies the seed of transformation. For self-contempt, when rightly interpreted, is not a curse, but a summons. It is the voice of the inner ruler demanding the throne be restored. It is conscience refusing to be silenced. Many mistake this holy unrest for despair. They medicate it with distraction, drown it in noise, or cloak it with excuses. Yet this discontent is the truest sign of life. The dead feel no disgust. Discipline begins when a man refuses to negotiate with his weakness. The average soul prays for motivation, but the disciplined soul commands itself. To wish is to beg. To decide is to decree. Between those two verbs stands the gulf separating the dreamer from the builder. Every empire of mind or matter was raised by one who, in a single hour of revolt, said, "I will no longer tolerate this lesser self." Look at Abraham Lincoln. He had neither wealth nor favor. He was acquainted with failure, with loneliness, with scorn. But he possessed one priceless asset, the capacity to stand alone within himself and issue orders to his own heart. He did not wait for public applause to steady his conscience. When war, ridicule, and betrayal surrounded him, he remained a silent fortress because he had already mastered the first command of power, self-obedience. Discipline is not punishment. It is reconciliation between thought and deed. Every broken promise to self is a fracture of the soul. Each time a man swears he will act and does not, he divides his kingdom and invites chaos to rule. To rebuild self-respect, he must restore unity, thought, word, and act marching as one. Until that harmony is achieved, no prayer, no vision, no plan can bear fruit. The modern world instructs men to forgive themselves easily, to accept weakness as natural. That teaching has robbed more destinies than famine or war. True mercy does not excuse failure. It redeems it by correction. There is no kindness in allowing one's character to rot beneath the perfume of self-pity. The mind must be cleansed not by indulgence, but by decision. Every man carries within him two voices, the voice of ease and the voice of will. One whispers, "Rest a little longer, the world owes you comfort." The other commands, "Rise, the world owes you nothing." The battle between these two determines every fortune and every ruin. The tragedy of most lives is not ignorance of what must be done, but the refusal to do it when the moment arrives. Discipline begins where emotion ends. The undisciplined man consults his feelings before he acts. The disciplined man acts, and his feelings learn to follow. The first law of self-respect is to distrust emotion when it contradicts purpose. For emotion is a servant that rebels when indulged too long. The will must reclaim authority and teach it obedience again. Understand this clearly. Your mind is not a democracy. It was never meant to hold equal votes for courage and fear, diligence and laziness, purpose and distraction. It was designed as a kingdom, with the will as sovereign and thought as counsel. When every appetite claims equal right, anarchy begins within, and outward defeat soon follows. Accurate thinking is the general that leads this inner war. To think accurately is to see oneself without decoration or disguise. It is to stand naked before one's own intellect and ask, "What am I pretending not to know?" This honesty is the first instrument of power. Self-deception is the enemy of progress, for the mind cannot repair what it refuses to admit is broken. The weak self hides behind reasoning, explanations, and gentle lies. It says, "I would have succeeded if circumstances were kinder, if others had helped, if opportunity had come sooner." The disciplined mind answers, "Circumstances reveal the man. They do not create him." Every excuse is an attempt to transfer responsibility from the throne of power, the self, to the marketplace of chance. Let me tell you a secret of infinite intelligence. Life yields only to those who obey its laws. The stars move not by whim, but by pattern. The tides rise and fall according to rhythm. And man, being part of this order, must align himself with law if he would prosper. The first of these laws is this: no improvement begins until falsehood is rejected. Therefore, cast out all flattering lies. Stop saying you will try. Declare that you will do. Stop claiming you lack time. Admit that you lack will. Stop mourning the past. Acknowledge that you have delayed your own victory. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Only when you expose the infection can healing begin. Society has taught you to seek comfort over conquest. It applauds indulgence, rewards distraction, and calls surrender balance. But balance without purpose is paralysis. The man who fears extremity never achieves excellence. The world's noise whispers that self-discipline is severity. Yet history's heroes prove that self-discipline is salvation. Consider the path of every builder of greatness. Carnegie, who began with nothing but carried the spirit of a general into every decision, Edison, who accepted 1,000 defeats as tuition for one invention. Ford, who obeyed one vision until the world followed his thought. Each of them was once ordinary, but they chose revolt over resignation. They refused to pity themselves and instead commanded themselves. You may think, but I have failed too often. Then know this: every failure is proof that you are alive and still capable of victory. The only unforgivable sin against self is to surrender the attempt. The past is not a prison. It is a quarry from which you may carve wisdom. Discipline turns every regret into instruction. Now I ask you to perform your first act of self-command. Take paper and write your own code of self-respect. List the behaviors, attitudes, and habits that your higher self can no longer tolerate. Write them without mercy. Then beside each, write the law you will obey henceforth. Example: I will no longer postpone decisions. I will act within the hour. This document is not to please others. It is a treaty between your conscience and your future. Each day, read this code aloud until it governs thought automatically. Do not announce it, live it. Let others discover by the quiet strength in your eyes that something new commands your soul. Soon they will respond to you differently, for men instinctively honor those who honor themselves. The first proof of growth is not applause, but internal stillness. When the weak self rises to argue, the disciplined mind answers only with action. Silence is the warrior's response to temptation. Let the old habits shout. You need not debate them. Each time you obey the new law without ceremony, you weaken the old one. Repeat often this affirmation until it becomes a shield about your spirit. I command myself and obey myself. I will no longer lie to myself. I will know what I am, and I will decide what I shall be. This is the hour of revolt, the sacred rebellion against weakness. Do not wait for another dawn. Rise now, take dominion over thought, and declare, the old king is dead. The rightful ruler has returned. For self-respect begins in this single act of accurate thought, to face truth without tremor, to confess no excuse, and to rebuild life upon law. The universe is not governed by emotion. It is governed by law. Every sunrise arrives by precision. Every planet obeys its orbit. Every seed holds within itself a calendar of seasons that never errs. You see, life itself is discipline made visible. It moves by invisible mathematics, and every man who desires power must bring his own mind into harmony with that eternal order. Discipline is the personal reflection of universal law. It is not a cage, it is structure. It is the skeleton upon which freedom stands upright. Without order, liberty decays into chaos. A man cannot command others, fortune, or circumstance until he has first commanded himself. The undisciplined mind wars against the rhythm of creation and pays for its rebellion in the coin of confusion. Self-control is the bridge between imagination and achievement. It is the law that governs the union of dream and action. Without it, the vision of genius remains vapor in the wind. With it, the same idea becomes a structure of stone. Every great enterprise, be it invention, business, or empire, was built by a man who first learned to harness his emotions, direct his time, and rule his own inner kingdom. Most men imagine that impulse is strength. They call sudden reaction passion and mistake haste for courage. Yet every flash of ungoverned emotion is an energy leak. It is power escaping through cracks in the mind's wall. A disciplined soul wastes nothing. It converts every impulse into fuel, every temptation into proof, every irritation into patience. That, my friend, is mastery. Look upon Thomas Edison. His patience was legendary. When his laboratories burned to the ground, he stood watching the flames and said calmly to his son, "Go fetch your mother." She will never see another fire like this. That was not indifference, it was order. He understood that the law of progress requires that form must sometimes perish for a higher form to appear. He ruled his mood, therefore destiny obeyed his design. Emotional slavery is the mark of a man not yet born. He lives at the mercy of weather within himself, now sunshine, now storm. He swears allegiance to purpose in the morning, then deserts by evening because feeling has changed its color. The disciplined man is not chained to feeling. He commands it. He may experience fear, anger, or discouragement, but he decides how long each shall remain guest in his house. To control emotion is not to become stone, it is to become conductor. The current still flows, but under guidance. The violin does not suppress vibration, it organizes it into melody. So too must you organize your energy through control. Without discipline, the symphony of life becomes noise, each emotion playing its own tune without regard to harmony or rhythm. The ungoverned man seeks speed. The disciplined man values direction. There is a law I call controlled waiting, the art of patience under pressure. The seed cannot be hurried into blossom. The wise gardener does not dig daily to check the root. He trusts the process he has begun. Faith in the timing of law is part of discipline. To act rashly is to distrust the universe. Consider how Henry Ford built his empire. Many thought him slow, stubborn, and unbending, but his deliberation was deliberate power. He would listen, measure, and decide only when every fact was weighed. Those who mocked his slowness later worked beneath his command. He understood that authority grows in silence. Noise is the armor of the uncertain. Calm is the garment of the sure. When you speak, speak deliberately. When you act, act definitively. The world has no respect for the man who apologizes to his own purpose. Each hesitation you permit drains strength from conviction. The disciplined will is a monarch. It does not explain, it commands. Yet it commands with justice, for its authority springs from harmony, not pride. The law of order demands that you construct an inner government. Let reason be your president, imagination your cabinet, conscience your judge, and desire your messenger. But let none usurp the throne. When emotion attempts rebellion, reason must remind it that passion serves purpose, not the reverse. All progress collapses when appetite becomes law. Test yourself daily in small things. Deny some impulse of comfort simply to prove that you can. Rise a half hour earlier than you wish and use that time to plan. Refuse one indulgence of temper, and you will feel the quiet pride of mastery stronger than the thrill of revenge. These are small victories, yet each builds invisible muscle within the will. Do not fear that self-control will steal joy from life. It multiplies joy by cleansing it of regret. The man of discipline does not lose pleasure, he refines it. He eats with gratitude, not gluttony. He speaks with power, not vanity. He loves with purpose, not possession. His happiness endures because it is earned by harmony, not stolen by excess. Many speak of freedom, but there is no freedom without law. The river is free because it flows within its banks. Remove those banks, and it becomes swamp. The disciplined man's rules are his banks. They give form to his energy and direction to his motion. The ungoverned life spreads wide but flows nowhere. Observe the difference between two craftsmen, one slovenly, arriving when he pleases, leaving tools unclean, the other orderly, methodical, precise. Both possess skill, but only one rises to mastery. Why? Because law loves order. The same hand that arranges the stars rewards the man who arranges his thoughts. The mind that mirrors the universe attracts its cooperation. If you would command influence, you must first exude calm. People feel order before they see it. The steady voice, the composed gesture, the eyes that do not wander, these announce power without words. The undisciplined man may shout to appear strong, but strength never shouts. It simply is. As Ford once said, power is not noise, it is direction. There is an invisible dignity that comes from restraint. When you resist the urge to defend every criticism, you train the world to value your silence. When you master the urge to rush, you draw opportunity to meet you halfway. Order is magnetic. Chaos repels. The mind that governs itself soon governs circumstance. Understand that every emotion has its rightful season. Anger, when governed, becomes courage. Fear, when examined, becomes caution. Desire, when disciplined, becomes creation. But left wild, these same energies destroy their master. You are not to kill emotion, but to train it. Harness its strength to pull the carriage of purpose. In moments of temptation, when impulse pulls you toward folly, repeat this command within. I am master of myself. I rule my moods. They do not rule me. Say it until the words become habit, and habit becomes reality. No tyranny can enslave the man who possesses inner government. The greatest victory ever won was not at sea or on land, but in the silent courtroom of conscience, where will conquered whim. The law of order extends beyond personal behavior. It governs speech. Words are seeds. The careless tongue scatters them to the wind. The disciplined tongue plants them in prepared soil. Speak less often, and when you do, let each syllable carry intention. A word spoken in order can move mountains. 1,000 spoken in confusion move only dust. There will come days when your patience will be tested, when progress seems invisible and reward far away. Remember then, nature pays always in full measure, but on her own schedule. The disciplined man trusts that schedule. He does not uproot his dream to see if it has sprouted. He tends, he waters, he endures. He knows that infinite intelligence does not reward chaos with success. To live in harmony with this great law is to live in peace. No storm of circumstance can destroy the man who has built his life upon order. When the world trembles, his foundation remains still. People will look to him as sailors look to the fixed star. His steadiness will become their compass. This is the true reward of self-control, not applause, but authority born of peace. Make it your practice to end each day with brief accounting. Ask yourself, did I act according to order? Did I rule my tongue? Did I fulfill what I planned? Such nightly judgment strengthens the inner government. A day examined is a day redeemed. The man who keeps internal records cannot drift far from the truth. Self-control is not achieved in a moment, but through repetition. As the muscles strengthen through resistance, so the will grows through the weight of daily discipline. Every time you overcome an impulse, you deposit confidence in the bank of your character. In time, that balance becomes wealth no thief can steal. Now picture how the world will behold you when order governs your being. Your presence will calm the restless, inspire the timid, and command the disordered. Employers will trust you. Companions will seek you. Opportunities will gravitate toward you as iron to magnet. Why? Because law recognizes its own reflection. The disciplined man is kin to order itself. Repeat these affirmations until they shape your thought as rivers carve valleys. My mind is a realm of order. My will is law within me. I move by decision, not by impulse. I govern my words, my acts, my moods. I am calm under fire, patient in delay, deliberate in all things. The universe trusts the man who trusts himself. Remember, you cannot rule men until you have first ruled your own moods. You cannot direct enterprise until you have disciplined desire. You cannot bring peace to your house until you have subdued the tempest within your heart. The world yields not to brilliance, but to balance. So align your mind this day with the great cosmic law. Rise each morning and bring your thoughts to order before you touch the world. Keep your hours sacred, your duties exact, your conscience clean. For in a universe governed by order, the man of order becomes king. The mind, my friend, is the temple of destiny. Its doors must be kept open to light and barred against decay. Yet most men allow it to become a crowded marketplace of half-truths, prejudices, and borrowed opinions. They think as the crowd thinks, feel as the crowd feels, and suffer as the crowd suffers. The first duty of discipline is to cleanse this inner sanctuary. Every man who seeks power must perform a daily purification of thought. He must wash away the mud of gossip, the dust of envy, and the smoke of fear that gather through constant contact with undisciplined minds. Tolerance is the broom, and accurate thinking is the water. Together they scour the temple so that infinite intelligence may dwell within unoffended. Tolerance is not weakness. It is cleanliness of soul. It does not mean that you bow to falsehood. It means that you allow truth to reveal itself without obstruction. The intolerant man closes his windows and curses the darkness. The tolerant man opens them and allows the sun to do its work. Where light enters, ignorance dies. Remember, the man who cannot bear contradiction cannot grow. He lives as a prisoner of his own opinions, convinced that the world is wrong whenever it disagrees with him. The disciplined thinker welcomes opposition, for it sharpens perception. Steel is tempered by friction and wisdom by debate. To think accurately, you must first allow thought to move freely. Accurate thinking is the sorting of fact from fancy, cause from effect, motive from appearance. It demands that you examine every claim, including your own, under the bright lamp of reason. Ask always, is this my knowledge or another man's echo? The crowd speaks loudly, but truth speaks quietly. Only the disciplined ear can hear it. Andrew Carnegie attributed much of his fortune not to what he knew, but to what he was willing to learn. He surrounded himself with minds that disagreed, that challenged, that questioned. He said, "No man can make progress if he listens only to his own voice." That humility was the secret doorway through which infinite intelligence entered his plans. You, too, must cultivate the courage to be uncertain until you have examined all sides. Impulsive belief is as dangerous as impulsive action. The mind that swallows every rumor, every theory, every passing enthusiasm will choke on its own confusion. The disciplined mind digests slowly, selects carefully, and nourishes itself only with what strengthens purpose. Beware of the three poisons that cloud all reasoning: vanity, emotion, and haste. Vanity insists it already knows. Emotion colors what it sees, and haste refuses to look. Together they build the fog in which failure hides. Accurate thinking requires that you delay judgment until the light of calmness returns, for truth reveals herself only to the patient. There is also danger in cynicism, the disease of failed dreamers. Cynicism calls itself intelligence, but it is merely wounded pride pretending to be wisdom. The cynical man is too afraid to hope, too lazy to verify, too proud to learn. He mistakes disbelief for insight, yet disbelief creates nothing. It only mocks creation. The disciplined thinker neither worships nor scorns. He studies. Gossip is the public sewer of thought. Every word of slander that enters your ear soils the machinery of your imagination. Close your mind to it as you would close your door against thieves. Gossip steals attention, and attention is your most precious wealth. What you dwell upon, you invite into your life. Refuse to entertain the failures of others. Build instead the empire of your own ideas. To cleanse the mind, you must love solitude. The crowd multiplies noise. Solitude multiplies understanding. Seek each day a brief hour when you may withdraw from voices and be alone with thought. During this sacred appointment, review your plans, test your motives, and renew your faith in your purpose. The man who communes with himself grows rich in counsel. During solitude, question every belief that governs your conduct. Ask, did I choose this, or was it chosen for me by habit, custom, or fear? You will be astonished to discover how many opinions you wear that were stitched by other hands. Tear them away, and you will feel the cool wind of freedom upon your mind. Tolerance toward others begins with tolerance toward one's own ignorance. Admit without shame that there are things you do not know. This confession is the first act of wisdom. The fool who must appear wise blocks the gate to progress. The disciplined student asks questions even when the world expects answers. To think accurately is also to think impersonally. The truth cares nothing for pride or preference. It yields to no sentiment. You must learn to separate the fact from the face that speaks it. A wise man will accept a gem even from the hand of his enemy. Refuse truth because you dislike its messenger, and you impoverish yourself. When confusion rises, practice this exercise. Take a sheet of paper and divide it into 2 columns. On one side, write facts known. On the other, assumptions. Force yourself to name which is which. You will soon discover how small the realm of certainty is and how vast the empire of imagination pretending to be fact. This simple act restores humility and clears vision. Do not mistake tolerance for indecision. Once the evidence is weighed and motive tested, act without fear. The open mind gathers knowledge. The decisive mind applies it. The greatest insult to truth is to recognize it and then ignore it. Let every discovery of right thought lead to immediate adjustment in behavior. That is the discipline of mental integrity. Consider how great thinkers of all ages have practiced this cleanliness of mind. Socrates declared that his wisdom consisted in knowing that he knew nothing. Lincoln said that he would change his opinion tomorrow if new evidence proved him wrong. Edison surrounded himself with young experimenters who dared to challenge his conclusions. The greatest minds are the most flexible because they are the most disciplined. You will find that once the mind is purified of prejudice, inspiration begins to visit. Ideas come more easily, solutions appear with strange suddenness, and intuition becomes sharper. This is not miracle. It is the reward of cleanliness. Infinite intelligence will not flow through a cluttered channel. The pure mind becomes its chosen instrument. Remember always, intolerance closes the book of learning. The man who claims to have learned all things has already begun to decay. When a tree ceases to draw new sap, it begins to die. So too the intellect that refuses correction. Keep your mind young by constant curiosity. The day you lose interest in truth, you lose claim to greatness. The disciplined thinker guards the gates of his attention. He does not allow the trivial to enter. Every hour spent in idle talk is theft from creation. Every moment devoted to resentment is time withdrawn from progress. The mind, like soil, will grow weeds as readily as wheat. You must cultivate it daily with the hoe of watchfulness. Each morning, cleanse your thought by this short meditation. Today I shall see truly. I shall not let prejudice darken my eyes, nor vanity whisper that I know enough. I shall welcome correction as a friend, and I shall test every thought by reason before I let it dwell in my mind. Repeat this until your very thinking becomes deliberate and pure. As your mind clears, you will notice how your judgment of others softens. You will cease to label, to condemn, to measure worth by appearance. You will find that the same infinite intelligence that guides your life guides theirs. From this recognition springs genuine tolerance, which is the foundation of all brotherhood and the essence of wisdom. Understand, too, that true tolerance never compromises principle. It listens respectfully, then acts resolutely. It does not surrender conviction. It merely refuses to hate. Hate clouds the intellect like smoke over a mirror. Love, expressed as calm understanding, keeps the surface clear for truth to reflect. As discipline strengthens, you will begin to see how the majority live in mental fog. They repeat what newspapers print, imitate what neighbors admire, fear what rumor invents. The disciplined mind moves quietly among them, unaffected, observing cause and effect as a scientist observes experiment. This independence will become your greatest strength. When others quarrel, you will remain unmoved. When others rage, you will perceive motive beneath their anger. When others surrender to fashion, you will follow principle. The man who thinks clearly stands alone, but never lonely, for he walks with the company of law and the counsel of infinite intelligence. Let us now practice the affirmation of mental purity. Repeat silently, yet with conviction. My mind is a clean instrument of truth. I see as things are, not as I wish them to be. I separate fact from fancy, cause from excuse. I welcome all knowledge, yet bow to none but law. My thought is free, yet disciplined. I think my own thoughts, and by them I rise. You will find that as this becomes habit, others will begin to trust your judgment. They will seek your counsel because they sense steadiness where they feel uncertainty. Employers will rely upon your discernment, friends upon your fairness, even adversaries upon your honesty. The man who thinks clearly is the rarest of all men, and therefore the most valued. When the world's noise grows loud again, retreat for a moment into inward silence. Imagine your mind as a clear lake. Every disturbance, every emotion, every untested belief is a stone thrown into it. Wait until the ripples fade, then look again. The reflection you see will be truth. That is the practice of mental cleansing, the art of seeing the world as it is and yourself as you might be. And finally, remember this law. The mind cannot rise above its contents. If you fill it with fear, it will create obstacles. Fill it with faith, and it will build bridges. Therefore, guard it as you would guard a treasury, for from it all riches flow. So end this lesson with a command to your own thought. From this hour, I will wash the windows of my mind daily. I will let no prejudice, no gossip, no fear darken the glass through which infinite intelligence shines. I will think my own thoughts, or another man will think them for me and use me in his plan. There is no greatness without the furnace of trial. Every soul that has risen from obscurity to power has walked first through the heat of apparent failure. The timid call it misfortune. The wise recognize it as refinement. Life forges men in the same way the blacksmith tempers steel, by fire, pressure, and repeated blows. The weak metal shatters, the strong emerges keen, shining, and ready for purpose. When you cry that fate has been unjust, you confess that you misunderstand its method. Nature does not punish, she educates. Temporary defeat is her instruction written in invisible ink, legible only to the disciplined mind. Failure, rightly understood, is not the end, but the beginning of wisdom. Every disappointment conceals an equal seed of advantage awaiting discovery. Edison knew this truth. 10,000 experiments failed to yield him the light he sought. Lesser men would have concluded that the task was impossible. Edison smiled and said, "I have not failed. I have found 10,000 ways that will not work. That was not jest. It was law in motion. He saw each defeat as direction, each obstacle as a teacher disguised in rough garments. His faith in order transmuted defeat into discovery. Henry Ford was ridiculed, sued, sabotaged, and nearly bankrupted before the world saw the value of his vision. When investors abandoned him, he said quietly, "Failure is only the opportunity to begin again, more intelligently." Those who mocked him misunderstood the mathematics of spirit, that the same resistance that stops the lazy strengthens the persistent. John D. Rockefeller lost everything more than once, yet built again with greater accuracy because his mind had been chastened by experience. He learned that money is merely a shadow of character. When the shadow disappeared, the substance remained. It was this substance, discipline, that rebuilt his fortune and his peace. To profit by failure, you must interpret it through law, not emotion. Emotion calls defeat final. Law calls it feedback. Emotion says, "I am broken." Law replies, "You are being shaped." Emotion weeps over ashes. Law studies the pattern of the flame. The disciplined man does not waste energy in complaint. He records the lesson, adjusts his plan, and begins anew. There exists a secret conversation between man and infinite intelligence that occurs only through adversity. When comfort rules, the voice of wisdom is faint. When struggle comes, it speaks plainly. Difficulty strips away illusion. It reveals what is essential and what is vanity. Pain is the signal that falsehood is dying within you. If you listen instead of resisting, you will find the instruction for your next victory. Many imagine that failure is evidence of divine displeasure. I tell you, it is often divine confidence. Life tests not to destroy, but to measure readiness. The universe will not entrust great power to one who cannot bear small setbacks with dignity. Each trial asks, can this soul remain faithful under correction? Those who answer yes are promoted. The furnace of defeat purifies motive. When profit, applause, and ease are removed, only genuine purpose remains. It is in those hours of loss that you discover whether you pursued ambition or calling. If ambition alone, discouragement kills it. If calling, defeat strengthens it. The world's heroes are those who discovered that their purpose survived failure. In my own life, I have seen rejection become instruction. Editors turned down my early work. Critics dismissed my philosophy as fantasy. Yet each refusal sharpened the edge of determination. I learned to labor without witness, to obey conviction without guarantee. Had success come easily, it would have spoiled the lesson, that one must become his own source of approval before the world echoes it. Temporary defeat is always in proportion to undeveloped strength. The larger your destiny, the fiercer the fire required to harden it. The seed that must grow into an oak cannot be pampered in shallow soil. It must crack, struggle, and stretch its roots into darkness before it may rise into light. Nature herself profits by failure. The fallen leaf enriches the ground that feeds next spring's bloom. Discipline transforms suffering into power. It does not ask, why me, but rather, what for? Every obstacle becomes material for construction. The disciplined mind regards pain as raw ore. It extracts the mineral of wisdom and discards the rest. This attitude turns misfortune into capital. The more resistance encountered, the more refined the character becomes. There is a secret I wish all men knew. Your endurance under trial determines your value in the market of life. The employer, the world, and infinite intelligence alike trust the man who does not crumble under heat. They know that such a man can bear responsibility without breaking. Strength is always purchased through suffering, never inherited. Let us examine the inner science of this transformation. When you meet adversity, two forces awaken within: fear and faith. Fear seeks escape. Faith seeks meaning. Whichever you feed becomes your master. The disciplined man starves fear by refusing to indulge complaint. He feeds faith by persistent action, for every act of continuation proves belief in ultimate order. It is not the size of the blow that matters, but the interpretation of it. Two men lose fortune. One curses destiny, the other studies cause and learns a principle. The first becomes bitter, the second becomes wise. The event was the same, only the use differed. This is what I call the law of redirection. The truth that defeat arrives only when you have been walking the wrong road. Infinite intelligence often closes one door with thunder so that you will seek the quieter gate to your real purpose. To profit by failure, you must be still enough to hear that guidance. When the noise of self-pity subsides, insight appears like dawn after storm. The disciplined soul asks not, "Why has this happened to me?" but "What truth was I refusing to see until now?" You will notice that men of shallow purpose rarely recover from loss. They tie their identity to possessions, titles, or praise. When these are taken, nothing remains. But the man of principle rises again because his foundation is internal. His wealth is order. His confidence is discipline. His joy is faith in law. These cannot be stolen, only strengthened. To cultivate this strength, record each defeat and extract its lesson. Keep a private ledger titled Experience Account. In it, write the event, the error, the correction, and the truth learned. Review it monthly. You will see patterns: habits of haste, lapses of judgment, misplaced trust. Each recognition prevents repetition. Thus, every setback becomes tuition for mastery. Gratitude is the highest form of intelligence. To thank adversity while standing in its shadow is to align yourself with cosmic law. Say often, "I am grateful for this challenge, for it teaches me something ease never could." Gratitude neutralizes bitterness, and bitterness is the acid that corrodes growth. Where others curse difficulty, the disciplined man blesses it as a sacred instructor. Think of Lincoln again. He lost elections, faced public ridicule, buried children, and guided a nation through war. Yet he said, "I have been driven many times upon my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go." His defeats carved depth into his spirit. Without them, he might have been a clever lawyer. Through them, he became a moral giant. In your darkest hour, remember this: the fire that burns away weakness cannot touch the soul's gold. It refines, not destroys. You may lose fortune, friends, or health, but the character formed through faithful endurance remains immortal. When the smoke clears, that character becomes magnet to new opportunity. Nature abhors waste. She always repays with interest those who persist. I have observed that adversity introduces a man to himself. In comfort, we drift. In crisis, we decide. The moment pain enters, masks fall. You discover your true loyalties, your hidden fears, your actual strength. What greater gift could life give than self-knowledge purchased by endurance? The mind trained in hardship no longer fears hardship. It welcomes it as familiar ground. Let others seek paths of ease. You must seek paths of growth. The difference between them is the difference between mediocrity and magnificence. Ease teaches nothing. Growth demands difficulty, and difficulty is the forge of discipline. He who avoids discomfort postpones greatness indefinitely. Now hear this affirmation, forged in the same fire that tests every achiever. I welcome adversity. I am grateful for correction. Each trial purifies my purpose, strengthens my faith, and prepares me for higher command. I cannot be broken, for I am built upon law. Every defeat carries within it the seed of greater strength. As you repeat these words, imagine your soul as metal on the anvil of experience. Feel the hammer of circumstance striking away impurity. Do not resist. Cooperate. With each blow, you are being shaped into a blade capable of cutting through limitation. When you emerge, the world will wonder at your calm power, not realizing the fire that created it. In time, you will look back on every struggle as blessing in disguise. The job lost will appear as the invitation to entrepreneurship. The betrayal will reveal false friends. The illness will teach gratitude for health. You will see that all things conspired toward your advancement once you chose interpretation over resentment. Thus, the law of the forge reveals itself. Discipline is tested by heat, purified by patience, and proven by persistence. The man who understands this law ceases to fear misfortune. He meets it as the miner meets the mountain, knowing that every blow brings him closer to treasure. When others complain of the cruelty of fate, you will smile quietly, for you will have learned that the fire that terrifies the weak refines the strong. And as you walk among men with this understanding, they will sense something unbreakable within you. They will trust you, follow you, and wonder at your peace. So let the furnace of life burn as it must. Stand upright within it. Say to yourself each morning, no matter what awaits me this day, I shall not be defeated, for I serve law, and law cannot fail. Power that is not harmonized destroys its owner. You have learned to discipline thought, to govern emotion, to stand unbroken in trial. But now comes the higher law, how to unite your strength with others without losing command of self. This is the silent law of harmony, the invisible bridge between minds through which infinite intelligence flows. No man achieves greatness alone. The myth of the self-made man is a half-truth. Every master craftsman is shaped by association with other disciplined souls. The blacksmith may swing his own hammer, but the metal he forges was mined, smelted, and delivered through unseen hands. So it is with success. You are part of a grand orchestra, and harmony is your passport to power. Harmony begins within. The discordant man cannot blend with others because he is at war with himself. His words betray his thoughts contradict his purpose, and his moods scatter his strength. Until there is inward unity, all outward cooperation is pretense. You cannot create harmony in your circle until you have tuned the instrument of your own mind. The mastermind principle, as I have taught, is not merely partnership. It is the spiritual circuit of aligned motives. When two or more minds meet in perfect accord of purpose, their combined intelligence forms a third, greater mind. This unseen force is the workshop of miracles. It produces ideas none could conceive alone, and courage none could summon alone. Andrew Carnegie understood this law better than any man of his century. He built an empire not by dominating others, but by harmonizing genius around a central aim. Each man in his service felt honored, trusted, and valued. Their cooperation was not enforced, it was inspired. They shared in his vision, and his fortune was the natural result of their united energy. Henry Ford practiced the same principle in a different form. He surrounded himself with engineers, dreamers, and thinkers who challenged him, who refined his ideas, who balanced his daring with precision. He often said, "My best investment is the people who believe in what we are doing." The harmony of minds at Dearborn was worth more than all his machines. Harmony multiplies force. Two horses pulling in unison can move more than twice the load of two pulling apart. The same law governs thought. When envy, gossip, or selfish ambition enter a group, they act like sand in the gears of an engine. Energy that should propel forward is wasted in friction. The disciplined man, therefore, guards the spirit of cooperation as he guards his fortune. Do not confuse cooperation with servitude. True harmony does not require submission to error or surrender of principle. It demands only that motives be aligned toward a common constructive end. The disciplined thinker seeks mutual benefit, not domination. He builds alliances through fairness, patience, and goodwill, never through deceit or manipulation. The golden rule is the shield of harmony. It is the law that protects all cooperation from decay. When every transaction is governed by mutual respect, suspicion dies and confidence blossoms. The disciplined man acts always with the unspoken thought, "Would I be content to receive what I now give?" This simple inward question keeps his conduct in tune with moral law. There is a silent magnetism that surrounds the man who lives by harmony. His presence calms disputes. His speech softens anger. His fairness commands loyalty. People feel safer near him because they sense that his power will never be used against them. Such a man becomes the axis of any organization. The disorderly look to him for steadiness, the timid for courage. In contrast, observe the one who thrives on conflict. He mistreats subordinates, mocks his equals, envies his superiors. Though he may seem successful for a season, his victories are short-lived. Discord corrodes his alliances, poisons his reputation, and drives away fortune. For harmony is not sentiment. It is the foundation of endurance. Every great empire has perished through internal strife long before enemies breached its gates. The same fate awaits every man who allows disharmony within his business, his household, or his own mind. Struggle against outer opposition strengthens. Struggle within weakens. Therefore, keep the inner circle of your life, your thoughts, your companions, your motives, in harmony with principle. Practice daily the art of speaking only words that build. A careless phrase can undo the work of weeks. Before you speak, ask, will these words add to peace or disturb it? Even truth must be delivered with tact if it is to heal. The disciplined tongue becomes an instrument of order. Gossip and complaint are its mortal enemies. Silence and praise are its allies. Harmony also demands service. To receive cooperation, you must first give it. The universe does not respond to grasping hands, but to open ones. Serve others gladly, and unseen forces will serve you. The man who does more than paid for earns invisible interest. It accrues in the trust and goodwill of those he aids. One day it returns multiplied beyond measure. If you would rise, lift others. This law is unbreakable. The surest path to leadership is to make those around you stronger. Men will follow the one who helps them fulfill their own desires. Discipline teaches you to suppress the vanity that demands credit, to find joy in collective success. The river does not boast that it nourishes fields. It simply flows and is blessed for its constancy. Imagine yourself as a conductor of power. When you harbor resentment, the current weakens. When you speak kindly, it grows bright. Every generous thought expands your sphere of influence. Soon opportunity begins to arrive through unexpected channels. Introductions, favors, friendships, alliances, these are not coincidences, but the natural response of harmony to harmony. Even unseen forces cooperate with the man of goodwill. Circumstances rearrange themselves to aid his purpose. Fortune, though invisible, is obedient to the law of unity. The world loves the man who loves order. Those who once opposed him begin to respect him. Those who doubted begin to assist. He becomes a center of calm influence in a chaotic age. Let no jealousy enter your heart. Envy is the enemy of harmony, the rust that eats success from within. When another prospers, bless him. His fortune proves that wealth is possible, not that it is stolen. Each man's triumph expands the field of opportunity for all. Gratitude for others' achievements draws kindred success toward yourself. At times, you may find yourself among minds that cannot yet understand this law. Remain peaceful. Do not quarrel with ignorance. Demonstrate truth by conduct. The light of a single steady mind can illuminate a room of darkness. Speak little, work much, radiate order. Those who are ready will rise to your vibration. The rest will drift away by their own choice. The disciplined man learns to read the moods of others without absorbing them. When tension arises, he lowers his own voice. When tempers flare, he listens more deeply. His restraint becomes a mirror in which others see their folly. Thus he governs not by authority, but by influence, which is a finer and more lasting power. Remember that harmony is not achieved by eliminating difference, but by organizing it. The finest music arises from notes of various pitch played in relation, not uniformity. In a well-governed enterprise, each mind contributes a distinct quality, one analytical, one creative, one cautious, one bold. The leader's task is to blend these into rhythm, not suppress them into sameness. Let us look again at history's builders. When Carnegie founded his steel empire, he declared, "I owe my success entirely to the ability to surround myself with people wiser than I am." When Ford expanded his company, he insisted upon departments working as one living organism. These men understood that harmony multiplies genius far more than competition divides it. You may wonder, how shall I attract such allies? The answer is simple. Become what you seek. If you desire loyal companions, be loyal. If you wish for generosity, be generous. If you crave wise counsel, be teachable. The law of harmony repays in exact kind. You cannot summon what you refuse to express. As your discipline matures, you will notice that solitude and cooperation are not opposites, but partners. Solitude refines self. Cooperation extends it. You go inward to cleanse motive, then outward to serve purpose. The cycle repeats endlessly, drawing you closer to infinite intelligence, which itself is the perfect union of all forces in order. End each day by asking, did I contribute to harmony or disturb it? Did my words build or wound? Did I work for the good of all or only for myself? Such questioning polishes the mirror of character until it reflects only sincerity. The man who lives by these self-examinations never needs to defend his reputation. It defends him. Affirm often this truth: I am a builder of harmony. Power flows through me in peace. I attract only those whose hearts beat in rhythm with my purpose. I give before I ask, listen before I speak, understand before I judge. I am part of the great orchestra of life, and my note is steady, pure, and strong. As you live these words, notice how life itself begins to cooperate. Obstacles diminish, opportunities increase, relationships strengthen. Even your body responds. Health improves, rest deepens, energy renews. Harmony is health to every level of being. Discontent burns vitality. Peace restores it. One day, as you walk through your world, you will sense that unseen powers move with you. The right person appears at the right moment. The needed idea arrives in silence. The impossible door opens without struggle. This is not luck, it is law. You have entered the rhythm of infinite intelligence, and its music now guides your steps. So let this be your vow, to live henceforth as a creator of harmony. Speak with purpose, act with fairness, think with goodwill. Let your presence calm confusion, and your example instruct without words. For the disciplined man who lives by harmony becomes a quiet center of order in a noisy world, and to him life gives its fullest cooperation. There is a secret power possessed by every great achiever, a power more valuable than talent, more enduring than fortune, and more commanding than circumstance. It is the ability to hold one thought, one purpose, one direction, until that thought materializes in form. This is the discipline of direction, the power of controlled attention. Without it, the mind scatters like seed thrown on rock. With it, the same mind becomes the plow that turns the world. The average man wanders from aim to aim, ruled by passing fancy. His days are fragments, his hours unmeasured, his mind like a compass needle spinning in storms of distraction. He touches many things lightly, but masters none. Yet success bows only to the man who can say, "This I will do, and no wind shall move me until it is done." Such determination is not born of excitement, but of law. Concentration is the spiritual art of gathering scattered power. As the sun's warmth is mild until focused through a lens, so human energy remains weak until directed by definite purpose. Discipline gathers the rays of thought and bends them toward one goal. The scattered mind warms nothing. The concentrated mind ignites. Every invention, every poem, every fortune, every civilization began in that fire. Henry Ford embodied this law. He did not invent the automobile, but he concentrated upon making it accessible to the masses. While others chased novelty, he pursued simplicity. He repeated one idea so long, so intensely, that the world could not ignore it. He often said, "The man who does two things at once does neither well." His empire rose from the singleness of that creed. To command attention, you must first value it as your greatest currency. Guard it as the banker guards gold. Every idle curiosity, every meaningless conversation, every aimless hour steals from the treasury of your destiny. Those who succeed are not necessarily more intelligent. They are simply more exacting in how they spend their attention. You must learn to isolate yourself from noise, not merely outer noise, but the inner chatter of unfocused thought. The mind is a restless horse. It must be bridled by purpose and guided by will. Begin each day by reviewing your definite chief aim. Write it, read it, speak it aloud. Let it become the magnetic pole toward which all thoughts are drawn. When distraction tempts you, remind yourself that divided attention breeds divided results. Ask, "Does this serve my purpose?" If not, cast it aside without apology. The undisciplined man apologizes to the world for his focus. The master makes the world apologize to him for wasting time. The law of mental economy decrees that energy flows where attention goes. Waste no power on resentment, worry, or idle speculation. These are leaks in the reservoir of creation. Every moment spent in complaint is a moment withdrawn from progress. Replace worry with planning. Replace dreaming with doing. Replace repetition of failure with concentration upon correction. There is a sacred relationship between concentration and faith. Faith is sustained attention upon an ideal until it becomes reality. You cannot truly believe in what you do not continually contemplate. To hold a picture of success in the mind, despite appearance to the contrary, that is faith in action. The world calls it obstinacy. Heaven calls it obedience to law. When the mind is controlled, emotion follows. The wandering imagination breeds anxiety. The focused imagination breeds creation. The same power that tortures a man with fear will liberate him when harnessed by purpose. Therefore, never permit your imagination to wander through fields of defeat. Direct it as the farmer directs water, only where growth is intended. Build daily rituals that discipline attention. At the same hour each morning, review your plan. At the same hour each night, examine your progress. Keep your work table free of clutter, your schedule free of triviality, your conscience free of conflict. Habit is the scaffolding of concentration. The man who lives by routine liberates energy for creation. Understand that doing more things does not mean doing greater things. The world worships busyness as though motion were achievement. But busyness without direction is merely the noise of futility. The disciplined mind chooses fewer tasks and executes them with such precision that each bears fruit. The bee that visits every flower gathers no honey. Those who master concentration radiate calm intensity. Their speech is measured, their gaze steady, their movements deliberate. People sense authority in their presence, for nothing about them is wasted. Their power is not in loudness, but in direction. They are like rivers cutting through rock, slow, persistent, unstoppable. To strengthen concentration, practice intervals of silent focus. Sit quietly for 10 minutes each day and fix your mind upon a single object, a word, a goal, a principle. Refuse to let thought wander. At first, the mind will rebel. It will offer 1,000 excuses. Persist until it obeys. This simple exercise will, in time, give you more power than years of scattered effort. Controlled attention is also the secret of persuasion. The man who listens wholly when others speak wins more influence than the one who constantly argues. To listen is to give attention, and attention is the purest form of respect. Those who feel heard become loyal. Those who feel ignored become adversaries. The disciplined listener gathers strength from every conversation. Let us look again at nature's example. The seed in the soil directs all its energy toward one point, the upward thrust. It does not attempt to grow in every direction. Because of this singleness of effort, it pierces the earth and reaches the sun. So must you direct your thought along one chosen channel. Scattering effort is spiritual suicide. The world is filled with brilliant failures, men of talent who lacked persistence of aim. They began a dozen enterprises, but abandoned each when novelty faded. Their lives are monuments to the tragedy of half-finished plans. Remember, the moment you change direction without cause, you dissolve momentum. Every restart costs more energy than continuation. Faithful concentration will test patience. There will be seasons when progress appears invisible, when results seem slow. This is natural law. Growth is often silent. A tree adds rings unseen until the woodcutter counts them. During such times, resist the temptation to quit or to divert attention to something new. Stay your course. The hidden roots are forming strength for the coming harvest. When temptation to drift returns, and it will, speak this affirmation: my thought is steady, my purpose won. I move in a straight line toward my aim. No wind of doubt shall alter my course. My attention is my wealth, my faith is my compass, my decision is my law. Repeat until conviction replaces confusion. As concentration deepens, the world itself begins to adjust to your rhythm. Circumstances align, opportunities present themselves, and people of like spirit appear seemingly by accident. But there are no accidents in a universe of order. Infinite intelligence responds to the intensity of directed thought as surely as iron responds to magnet. Be aware that the power of focus can also destroy when misused. A criminal may concentrate on theft as intensely as a saint upon service. Therefore, let your definite purpose always be rooted in constructive motive. Concentration divorced from morality breeds tyranny. Concentration wedded to virtue builds civilization. You will find that as you master this discipline, life becomes simpler. Decisions are easier because you measure everything against one criterion. Does it serve my purpose? Time expands, for the mind that moves in straight lines wastes none in circles. Energy increases because every act flows in the same direction. Peace deepens, for confusion is replaced by order. When others brag of multitasking, smile in silence. The arrow that strikes the mark was not divided, it was aimed. The mind that hits its target must live by the same rule. Concentration is the invisible bow. Discipline is the string. Faith is the arm that draws it back. Together they send thought flying through the air until it pierces matter itself. Do not boast of focus. Demonstrate it. Let your conduct be your signature. Work when others talk. Plan when others drift. Act when others hesitate. In time, they will call you fortunate without realizing you have simply obeyed law more faithfully than they. To maintain direction, eliminate distraction not by force, but by neglect. The flower turns to the sun naturally. It does not fight the shadow. It simply faces light. Keep your gaze upon your goal so fully that lesser things fade of their own accord. You will find no need to battle them. Attention itself starves them. When at last you reach your aim, do not rest too long. The law of life is continual direction. A goal achieved must be replaced by a higher one, else energy stagnates. The disciplined soul always asks, "What next?" For he knows that growth ceases when challenge ends. But let every new aim proceed from the old in orderly sequence. Random ambition is chaos reborn. Think of what manner of man you will appear to others once this law becomes habit. Your presence will seem serene yet powerful. They will sense in you a certainty that disarms confusion. Employers will trust you with heavy responsibilities, knowing that you will not waver. Friends will bring you their troubles, for your stillness will seem to them like sanctuary. You will notice that even your surroundings begin to mirror your order. Your workspace becomes neat, your speech deliberate, your decisions prompt. The outer world rearranges itself around the inner command of direction. This is the reward of mental mastery, life molded to the shape of purpose. Concentration, faith, and persistence form the trinity of accomplishment. Break one and progress falters. Unite them, and all creation assists you. Therefore, renew each morning the vow of direction. Let these words be your silent covenant. Where my attention goes, my life follows. I will think, feel, and act as one. I will live by design, not by drift. I will never leave undone the work that infinite intelligence assigned me. My path is straight, my purpose sure, my end certain. The man who lives by this vow commands the unseen forces of his world. He does not chase opportunity, he attracts it. He does not plead for success, he becomes it. His focus makes him magnetic, his persistence makes him inevitable, his peace makes him unassailable. Thus ends the law of concentration, the discipline of direction. Guard it as your crown, for it unites all prior principles into power in motion. With it, you move by the rhythm of universal order. Without it, you remain the plaything of chance. Remember, wherever your attention dwells, your destiny builds its house. There is a truth that crowns every law of success, a law that sanctifies all others, and without which even genius becomes dangerous. That law is moral order, the golden rule in action. It is the final discipline to use power righteously. For discipline without conscience is tyranny, concentration without justice is greed, and success without character is destruction wearing a crown. The world admires strength, but strength without goodness corrodes its own foundation. There have been men of brilliance who conquered cities, built fortunes, and moved nations, yet left ruin where they passed. They mastered the laws of thought, persistence, and concentration, but broke the law of moral balance. Nature punished them not through vengeance, but through inevitability. She restores harmony by dissolving that which defies it. You must understand. The same infinite intelligence that rewards obedience to law also demands purity of motive. The universe is moral as well as mathematical. Every act carries consequence. Every thought sows its future. The man who sows deceit harvests isolation. The man who sows service reaps loyalty and peace. This is not sentiment. It is cause and effect written into the fabric of being. Discipline must therefore rise from duty, not desire alone. The disciplined man acts not merely to succeed, but to deserve success. He knows that honor is wealth of the highest kind. It cannot be stolen, cannot decay, and survives even death in the memory of men. It is better to fail with integrity than to triumph by fraud, for moral failure costs more than fortune can repay. The golden rule is not a suggestion, it is law. It says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." This principle operates whether you acknowledge it or not. Every injustice you commit writes itself into your future as a correction waiting to unfold. Every kindness you perform returns to you magnified through unseen channels. Life keeps exact accounts. Andrew Carnegie built immense wealth, yet his true monument is not steel. It is the libraries, the schools, the opportunities he left behind. John D. Rockefeller endowed hospitals and universities. Henry Ford raised the wages of his workers and gave them dignity through production. These men, having mastered worldly law, recognized that service completes success. They sought not absolution, but balance, and balance brought peace. You too must find that equilibrium. Power gained through discipline must be tempered through compassion. The disciplined mind can achieve wonders, but if its motive hardens into selfish ambition, it becomes like a sword without purpose, sharp but soulless. The disciplined heart directs that blade toward construction, never destruction. The secret of lasting peace lies in a clean conscience. When your motives are pure, your nights are tranquil. The man who cheats may sleep on silk, but his dreams are haunted. The man who serves may rest on straw, yet his heart is untroubled. Peace is the dividend of righteousness. No external success can replace it. Many fear morality, believing it weakens competitive power. They think compassion invites defeat. They are mistaken. The man who acts justly is trusted. The trusted man moves mountains. Integrity is invisible capital, credit extended by the universe itself. Every righteous act deposits energy in your spiritual account, redeemable in opportunity, protection, and favor. The disciplined man must therefore make every act a gift. When you speak, let your words uplift. When you labor, let it benefit others as well as yourself. When you gain, let gratitude guide your giving. This continual circulation of good keeps power from stagnation. As blood nourishes by flow, so energy purifies itself through service. Observe the law of moral cause and effect. If you plant anger, you will harvest strife. If you plant fairness, you will harvest cooperation. Your outer world mirrors your inner. Treat your subordinates with justice, and they will defend your name. Exploit them, and they will undo you the moment opportunity arises. The wise man governs by example, not by fear. Selfish ambition collapses under its own weight. It grows heavy with deception, secrecy, and anxiety. But the man who lives by the golden rule moves lightly, for he carries no burden of guilt. His conscience is his compass. His faith is his armor. He advances through life as sunlight advances, unopposed, unhurried, unstoppable. The time will come when your discipline yields power beyond what you imagined. You will command respect, influence, perhaps even wealth. Then the final test begins. For power reveals character. The man who forgets the source of his strength, who begins to believe himself the author instead of the instrument of law, will soon find the ground beneath him giving way. Therefore, remember always that your authority is borrowed. You are a steward of law, not its creator. Serve it faithfully, and it will continue to serve you. Misuse it, and it will withdraw its favor without warning. This is not punishment, it is balance restored. When temptation whispers that no one will know of your wrongdoing, recall this: you will know, and that knowledge will divide your mind, destroy your calm, and poison your will. A lie to another may be hidden. A lie to self never sleeps. Discipline means not only doing what is right under watchful eyes, but under the silent gaze of conscience. The disciplined man measures success not by applause, but by integrity. He does not ask, "What can I gain?" but "What can I contribute?" This inversion of motive transforms ambition into greatness. Wealth gained through service carries the blessing of peace. Wealth gained through exploitation carries the curse of fear. The first multiplies, the second decays. The man who serves others serves himself, for service is the rhythm of the universe. Every tree gives shade before asking for fruit. Every river nourishes before it drinks the sea. So too must you give to receive. If you would be powerful, empower. If you would be understood, first understand. If you would be loved, love. The golden rule is the blueprint of creation. Let me give you a vision of what this law will make of you. Imagine a man whose presence settles conflict, whose word is trusted even in his absence, whose hand uplifts the fallen, whose eyes see worth in all men. Such a man is rich in the coin that never tarnishes. His influence extends beyond his years. He becomes a fixed star in the moral sky by which lesser souls find their way. This, my friend, is the final goal of discipline. Not wealth, not fame, but peace earned through obedience to moral law. The respect you sought at the beginning of this journey is now yours, not because the world grants it, but because your own soul salutes you. The man in the mirror has become worthy of admiration. Let each day close with this reflection: did I act today as I would wish to be treated? Did I leave any soul poorer, any heart wounded, any promise unkept? If the answer brings discomfort, correct it before sleep. The mind that makes peace nightly with conscience awakens renewed and fortified. There is a quiet dignity in righteousness. It speaks without words, commands without noise, inspires without intention. Others will see in you something they cannot name, a presence, a certainty, a moral weight. They will feel safer in your company, and though they may not say it, they will measure themselves by your standard. That is true leadership, the leadership of character. Repeat often this affirmation until it becomes the rhythm of your thought. I am the servant of law, not its master. My power is pure because my motive is clean. I do unto others as I would have them do unto me. My word is truth. My act is service. My life is harmony. Through moral discipline, I am free from fear, free from guilt, free from regret. And as you live by this creed, you will notice the transformation. Your mind will rest without anxiety. Your body will renew without strain. Your affairs will prosper without deceit. You will draw to you allies of the same integrity, for virtue recognizes its own reflection. Even misfortune will soften its blows, for the universe protects the just. Understand now the complete circle of power. Thought disciplined by accuracy, emotion governed by self-control, mind cleansed by tolerance, will strengthened by failure, heart enlarged by cooperation, attention unified by direction, and motive purified by the golden rule. These are the 7 pillars upon which self-respect stands eternal. The journey began with shame and ends with serenity. You once sought to build a man you could respect. Now you have become him. You have learned that self-respect is not a reward, but a revelation, the natural state of one who lives in harmony with law. The weak self that once ruled you is gone. In its place stands order, faith, and moral power. Close your eyes for a moment and behold the image of the man you are. His head is high, his gaze steady, his heart tranquil. His wealth is his integrity, his empire his conscience, his crown his peace. He walks quietly among men, unassuming yet unafraid, guided by a light that never flickers, the light of disciplined righteousness. Say now this final affirmation with all the force of your awakened will. Through discipline I have rebuilt trust. Through trust I have rebuilt faith. Through faith I have rebuilt destiny. I respect myself because I act in harmony with law. The man in the mirror salutes me, and that salute is freedom. That salute is peace. So end the teachings on discipline, self-respect, and the laws that govern both. Go forth not as one seeking approval, but as one giving it through example. Live so that those who meet you feel nearer to their own higher self, for that is the truest form of wealth, to leave every life touched by you a little more ordered, a little more faithful, a little more alive.